In this video, I'm going to tell you everything about the cell membrane. The cell membrane, also known as the plasma membrane. This membrane is semi-permeable lipid bilayer that surrounds the cytoplasm of a cell. This lipid bilayer separating its interior from the extracellular environments, it regulates the passage of substances in and out of the cell. And because of these things, maintaining the cellular homeostasis and enabling communication with neighboring cells. This all was the definition of cell membrane, and let me show you the diagram of cell membrane. I'm going to highlight some of the important parts. This is the protein. In the outer layer there is a cholesterol attachment. And this spiral thing is the alpha helix protein. And this is the carbohydrate chain. This is the hydrophobic gap. Part is the outer membrane, and this is the inner membrane. The cell membrane are composed primarily of phospholipids and the proteins. Let me teach the phospholipid in 3 steps. Phospholipid mean lipid bilayer. Number 1 point is the phospholipid have a glycerol backbone, which is the hydrophilic. Hydrophilic mean water soluble head, and 2 fatty acid tail, which are hydrophobic. You guys know the hydrophobic means. Hydrophobic means water insoluble. And these hydrophobic tails face each other and form a bilayer. The second point, lipid soluble substances. Example, the oxygen, carbon dioxide, and steroid hormone. It's easily cross the cell membrane because they can dissolve in the hydrophobic lipid bilayer. The third point is the water soluble substances. Example, sodium chloride, glucose, and water. It cannot dissolve in the lipid of the membrane but may cross through water-filled channel or pores, or may be transported by carrier. As I told this in the previous diagram, let's go to the second part of the cell membrane, which is the proteins. There are different type of protein in the cell membrane. The first one is the integral protein are anchored to embedded in the cell membrane through hydrophobic interaction. The integral protein may span the cell membrane, includes ion channel transport protein receptor and guanosine 5-phosphate binding protein, which is called G protein. And the cell membrane here is also another protein which is called peripheral protein. These proteins are not embedded in the cell membrane, are not covalently bound to membrane components, and are loosely attached to the cell membrane by electrostatic interactions. In the cell membrane, there is also one thing which we call the intercellular connection. It is the connection between the two cells which they communicate with each other, which is called tight junction or zonula occludens. These tight junctions are the attachment between cells, often in epithelial cell, maybe in intercellular pathway for circuit, depending on the size, charge, and characteristic of the tight junction. And maybe it tight to make cell impermeable. Is in the renal distal tubule, or leaky permeable is in the renal proximal tubule and the gallbladder. In the cell membrane, we also study about the gap junction. Gap junction are the attachment between cells that permit intercellular communication. For example, permit current flow in electrical coupling between myocardial cells.